Great. Okay, I think we're good to go, so I'm going to jump in. Hi everyone, welcome to my So You Think You Can Sell a FileMaker Solution session. In case you're wondering where I got that stupid title from, it's a rip-off of a TV show that you might have seen called So You Think You Can Dance, where people, compete against each other to be the best dancer in the particular region. A little bit about myself. My name's Andrew Duncan. I'm the owner of Databuzz. We're a Clarice partner based out of Sydney, Australia. Took me a long time to get here. It was 4 planes and 1 train, as it turned out. I've been developing for over 30 years now, so feeling sort of pretty old, as a lot of you are. I'm a FileMaker certified developer. Just take my glasses off so I can read. And I've spoken at a number of FileMaker conferences over the years. I've spoken at the DevCon in the US, and I was lucky enough to speak at EngageU last year in Antwerp. And it's great to be back here in Malmö. So I've ticked off 2 new countries this trip. I've never been to Denmark and never been to Sweden. So that's exciting for me. And I speak a lot of the APAC versions of these conferences as well. And as well as being a developer like most of you. And I've been into the technology side of the business. I've also had a long-standing interest in products and marketing and the business of business. And I've worked on a number of vertical market solutions over the years. I'm going to talk about the first one I got involved in. And just a quick plug-in. I'm one of the coordinators of ReconnectFM, which is our version of EngageU, but in the APAC region. So, if you ever want to come to Australia and pat a kangaroo and a koala, make it a business expense next year. It's going to be held in October. That's the, Melbourne Cricket Ground, the big sporting arena. That's our venue for the conference. It's going to be great. It's, middle of October, so the weather's pretty mild. We'll hopefully have some great speakers, and it'll be great to see some people from Europe there. As I mentioned, I'm from Sydney. Anyone been to Sydney, Australia before? Yep. Oh yeah, this is the Sydney Opera House. So yeah, if you come to Australia, come to Sydney and check out the Opera House. It was actually designed by a Dane, Ewan Otson. I don't know if you've heard the story, but he, conceived this amazing, beautiful building. With these iconic sand-like structures. And then the project was taken twice as long, and it was over budget, so good old Australia sucked him, kicked him out, and he left, and someone else finished the building. And he never actually came back to Sydney to see, the finished, version, which I think is quite sort of tragic. So out of those, my company sells a number of integration solutions. So we have solutions for accounting platforms like Xero and QuickBooks Online, and e-commerce platforms like Xero, WooCommerce and Shopify, and Signature for DocuSign and SMS messaging. And these are all designed to save our customers time and money, and eliminate double data entry, and automate web files. And I'm going to be talking about a couple of those, and how they came about, to hopefully give you some ideas if you're thinking about getting into the, product business as well. As I said, I'm based in Sydney, but Database has got customers all around the world. I've got more customers outside of Australia than inside of Australia. And that's, one of the advantages of selling products. Customers can, potentially be sort of anywhere in the world. And I'll talk a bit more about that as well. And, quick shout out to Europe. Lots of customers. Do you have any of my customers here today, by the way? Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I should ask a question first. Why would you get into selling products? You might be making a pretty good living out there, being a financial consultant, sort of selling your time and your labor. Well, there's a number of advantages to, being in the product business. Let's see. Move away from selling time and the sort of the grind of hourly billing. You can potentially increase your profit margins, and you can generate a passive income. I still get excited when I wake up each morning I turn my phone like most of us, and I see that someone on the other side of the world has bought one of my products. It's like, yes, and I made money while I slept. Oh, you can potentially sort of get into the subscription revenue business, which is sort of the holy grail of cash flow. And if you're in the early billing business, you might be sort of in that feast-famine cycle that I expect a lot of developers sort of end up in, and then flat out for 3 months. And then they've got nothing for the next 2 weeks. And then flat out for another month. So yeah, subscription helps you to have a journey and generate a steady, predictable, cash flow. And you can also potentially create, business assets that can be sold. And that's what I did in my first, vertical solution. And it allows you to sort of focus, go deep on just one solution over a long period of time. Now, when you might have also encountered this one. Build a new, solution for a client, and we go live. And after a couple of weeks, they're very excited. They've eliminated all the pain points in the business, and they're automating workflows and eliminating data. Blah, blah. And they're very excited. And they come to me, and they get really excited. And they say, I think what we've built, I could actually sell it to my mate Steve. He works in the same industry. And they're basically seeing dollar signs at this point. And they're thinking, I could make some easy money just by selling what you've built. And I explain to them that yes, that's certainly possible. But I bring them down the road pretty quickly when I explain that being in the business of software is different to being in the business of whatever business they're in, whether that's manufacturing or real estate or whatever it might be. And I explain to them that if you still look at your mate Steve, and Steve can't log in on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m., he's about to open his business, and he needs to get in, and he calls you. What are you going to do about it? So I'm going to tell the story about my first vertical solution. And to do that, I've got to, introduce you to a fellow called Lee Woodward, and we're going to do a time travel back to the sort of 1999-2000 timeframe. Sydney's just hosted the Olympics. We're all excited. I was working at the head office of, Apple Computer in Sydney, and I've been there for a number of years. And I was sort of contemplating leaving. I've always wanted to hang my own shingle out and work for myself and see if I could survive on my own. Here I am 25 years later. Thank God. And around the same time, my wife and I were looking to buy a place in the northern beaches of Sydney. It's sort of a beautiful part of Sydney. So we started spending our weekends going to the northern beaches and meeting with various real estate agents, and they would take us around and look at lots of properties. And one of those was a gentleman called Lee Woodward. And that's laid back in, back in the sort of the early 2000s from memory. And little did I know that, a 5-minute conversation whilst I was stuck in Lee's car and he was driving around would lead us to start a business, building a FileMaker solution for the real estate industry. And I'm a pretty sort of conservative guy. I don't normally start businesses with random people that I meet, in the street. But, it's sort of amazing how this sort of, turned out. And that business is, called, Complete Data. And the product we bought was Complete Data. And that's our logo go from 2002. So it looks, quite dated. But, I got lucky. When I started Complete Data with Lee, I didn't know much about sales and marketing at the time. I was a FileMaker developer consulting for clients. Lee was a salesperson, so he had natural sort of confidence in selling and that ability to, sell a solution. And, it also helped that Lee was a recognized leader in the real estate industry. Just go back a slide and look at his photo. You see he's got a medal around his neck. He wasn't winning medals at the Olympics, but he was winning, salesperson awards. He was like the top salesperson in his particular region. And when you're at the top, everyone at the bottom looks up to you and wants to know your secrets to success. And what they need to do to get from number 672, to number 1 as well. So he started running training courses around the country, and he would get hundreds of people in a room, and they'd all be keen to sort of, learn from him. And ultimately, when we book Complete Data, if he needed a demonstrator technique in software, he's going to use our software, not one of our competitors. And if they recommend selling our software, well, that's a very strong recommendation as well. So, Complete Data, started with my partner Lee. We went from no revenue to over $1 million in revenue in a very short space of time in a couple of years. But we didn't give up our day jobs, and I'd sort of strongly recommend that to you as well. We didn't draw a salary. we certainly were getting dividends as we started generating free cash flow. But I was working as a FileMaker developer during the day and building complete data at night, and he was helping me. Well, that he was the sort of the industry expert telling me how real estate works, and I was sort of building a solution around that. And we had a unique sales funnel, which looking back, I didn't sort of fully appreciate at the time, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail. So if you're thinking about getting into the business of selling a solution, question number one is really, where are your customers, going to come from? That's the first question you should be asking yourselves constantly, and many of you have probably seen the movie, Field of Dreams, and there's that similar quote in the movie. It's actually, build it and he will come. But we're often familiar. We've probably seen this one. Build it and they will come. I'm not a fan of that. I think there's something missing, and that's the marketing phrase. The build it, tell them you built it. And then they might come. But yeah, certainly you can't build something and expect people to just, buy it. You've got to get invested in the whole sales and marketing process. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a bit more detail. Obviously customers can't come to you and your product if they don't even know it exists. And for me, sales marketing is just as important as the quality of the solution. So here's a bit of a visual representation of our sales funnel that we had at the time. So I mentioned, Lee, was running training courses, and he'd get hundreds of people at a time in a room, and he could talk about complete data as much as he liked. He had no sort of real conflicts of interest about that. We had train courses. Lee was, back then he was he was producing these CDs. Back then you drive in a car, and you put a CD in your CD player. This is before podcasts. Now he does a podcast. But real estate agents spend a lot of time in their car, going from property to property, and they'll be consuming these CDs, on repeat, in their car all day, every day. We also did the traditional sort of email marketing and website marketing, and we quickly employed a salesperson who worked in the real estate industry, so had some real estate product knowledge, and it was her job to just take incoming calls, make outgoing calls, do demos, flop on leads, and that sort of freed us to just focus on sales marketing and the product development side of the business. We also ran our own seminars. We're a bit sort of unique in that way. We would get a couple hundred people in a room like this. Give them some food, and apply for them with alcohol. And we'd had sort of like a banquet table set up, and we'd invite existing customers along as well. And we would send an existing customer with prospects, and getting those existing customers to evangelize your solution on our behalf for me was the most powerful form of selling. It's much harder for me to sell my solution to a prospect, and it is one of their peers to sell our solution to them on our behalf, and that was really powerful. That we found. And we also, had the trial versions and demos, and ultimately, we're trying to convert as many of those, throughout our sales funnel. And we're selling now 2 versions of complete data. This is going back a while, so we were producing a version for individual salespeople who just wanted to do their own thing, and that was built with a good old FileMaker runtime, which, it doesn't exist anymore, but that, for those unfamiliar with it, you could create a single, version, application, royalty-free, no licensing fees, and we were selling that for 995 Australian dollars, and they were selling like hotcakes. We were making a shitload of money, selling those, and we had a version for the office users, so 10 users, which we sold for 20,000, and Lee was in charge of pricing, and when he told me that price, I almost had a heart attack, but it was a good lesson in sort of the whole value pricing, sales and marketing. So when I talk to most FileMaker developers, they generally don't have to think about sales and marketing unless they're working for themselves. It's not part of their business. They're more focused on the technology side. But if you're in the product business, you could spend at least half your time, I find, on sales and marketing. And for most people with a development background, sales and marketing doesn't come naturally. I talk to a lot of developers, and they get that. She was going to have to think about sales and sort of making a phone call to a prospect. And they started thinking about, people like, the great, Harry Wormwood, owner of Wormwood Motors, from, the movie Matilda, played by Anthony DeVito. And I just wanted to play a little short clip. Unfortunately, some of you I've got a Everybody think, when they think about salespeople, they have visions of someone like Harry Wormwood. Yeah, so I probably used to be guilty of that as well. But I'm here to tell you, oh yeah, sales. Oh, doesn't have to be sleazy. Yeah, you don't have to be like Harry Wormwood when it comes to salespeople. Oh, sales and marketing. And I just want to, illustrate. But here's some of the things I do in my current job that I consider to be sales and marketing activities. And none of them involve cold call calling, high-pressure sales, anything like that. So I write a regular newsletter, and I have a sign-up for my own website, which encourages people to sign up. I presented FileMaker user and developer groups. Oh, and I attend trade shows for my market. So that could be Claris Engage for FileMaker developers, or Xero conferences, or QuickBooks conferences for my accounting solutions, and so on. I speak at events and trade shows. And like we did at Complete Data, you can create your own events. You don't have to be limited by, what's out there. Do the usual blog posts and social media. Have trial versions. And I'll do a lot of customer demos for people who need a bit of a one-on-one sort of demo. Which I find could be a great way to sort of start the sales conversation as well. And for me, sales and marketing is all about, helping the right customer find the right product at the right time. I've turned a lot of customers away because I know that, based on a call that I could easily sell them my solution. But I know that they'll probably never use it, and they'll get, cranky, and they'll want their money back, or they'll badmouth me to someone else. We need to use the microphone. But I'm happy to, so it's on the record. Just takes a moment to warm up. Thank you. Well, my question is about the trial version and the custom demos. I always found it difficult if you have a complicated product for complicated use. And that's always what I kind of jump into. Like, people say, like, oh yeah, can I have a demo? And I don't dare to say to them, but the demo is only as good as the personal demo. So how do you get around that? Because if you made a real estate system, I trust it's also not just, plug and play. Yeah, good question. And that's something I've sort of struggled with, over the years. Like, our real estate solution. It did a lot of things. It managed bars. It managed properties. You could email. You could send SMS messages. You could create brochures. And it's if someone downloads, I always think when someone downloads FileMaker Pro from the Qatari's website, what do they do with it? Like, I don't understand what they do with it. And if you need a FileMaker, and our users were real estate salespeople, Lee was a real estate sales trainer. So, we had a bit of an advantage there. But we employed a salesperson. It was her job to do most of these demos. So, she was a former real estate agent herself. So she would spend like 30 to 45 minutes doing we had a sort of a script, essentially, that you would follow. But for us, that was the most effective way to do the demo. And Lee will do the demos in those seminars that we ran. But just having someone download it off the website, would make them in a form, and she would follow them up. My solutions today are the use case is very confined. So it's quite easy for people to trial it and connect it to Xero or DocuSign and get a feel for how it works. I think if you, and we used to do a weekly, Zoom. We didn't have Zoom back then, but we had whatever the equivalent was, where someone would just spend an hour just doing a live session that people could jump on and watch that in bulk as well. So, I hope that answers your question, sort of. Yes. Sorry. How about someone like, Steve Jobs? So, Steve Jobs is considered sort of a master of the art of sales and marketing. But you wouldn't think of him as a salesperson necessarily. He was a product guy. But when he's presenting at those big, massive, Apple events, that's all part of the Apple sales and marketing machine. And I've worked at Apple, so I've been on and off for 25 years. And I've sort of seen this from the inside. It obviously helped us to get great products like the, iPod and iPad, and the Mac, and so on. Now, let's move on to talking about, asking where your customers are going to come from. So that gets into the, what's the size of the market that you're going to be targeting? So how many, where your customers are coming from. But how many of them are there? And is there enough for it to be a sort of a viable business? And are you going to be targeting a vertical or a horizontal market? And let's define those terms. So horizontal, it's about functionality that's needed across many industries, and it's not specific to one single industry. So common examples are things like time tracking tools and project management tools, which could be used by lots of industries, like climbers, electricians, people in construction, and so on. Vertical, which is what I was in, It's a solution aimed at a specific industry, and that could be for real estate agents, picture frames, or people to run music schools. So there's no limit to how many industries there are out there. Here's an example of, looking at market size. Just before I left, I did a quick Google search for, all the real estate agents in the area. Near where I live. And as you can see, there's a lot. In Sydney where I live. In each suburb, there's generally 3 to 4 real estate agencies. And within each agency, there's generally 3 to 4 individual salespersons. So there's a lot of salespeople in a lot of agencies in a lot of suburbs. And we needed to get a small subset of that market. We had 5 or 6 competitors, and we could all quite happily coexist. We all had similar solutions. They all worked differently. But the market was so big that, we only needed to get a small portion of it to keep us really busy and profitable. Now, something you need to be, thinking of, as well, if you're going to be running a business, is, recruitment, particularly around, FileMaker developers. As you grow your business, where are you going to get these new developers from? And this will all depend on whereabouts in the world you are. And it generally comes down to, 2 options. Can you hire them, or do you need to train them from scratch at, complete data? We had really rapid growth, and I needed to bring on more staff for support, for training, and we also did customizations. That was a nice little, part of our business that we generated income from. And I ended up just hiring junior staff who had never heard of FileMaker. But were keen to learn and train them up. We didn't have a pool of junior developers that I could just, extract from. That's different in other parts of the world, like in the US. Clara's, involved in the Clara's app developer program with Quasar. But, for us in Australia, it's, most of the developers are sort of my age, getting old. And there's not that many junior ones. You've got to basically train them yourselves. So, you've got your product out there. Or you're thinking about releasing products. Lots of things you need to think about. That I learned the hard way. Before you release, version 1. And please have a plan for upgrading to the next version before you release your first version. And you want to, automate that. So, before you release version 1, you want to quickly have a version 1 or 2 or whatever ready. And have a system for using something like the data migration tool, or the auto deploy, or some of those things to get people from one version to another. There's a company in New Zealand that sells the most FileMaker licenses in the Asia-Pacific region called KMAR, and they're in the education market, and they've got hundreds of customers, hundreds of schools, and they've got it to such a, sophisticated, level now that every night each school's FileMaker server calls back to the mothership and says, hey, is there a new version? And if there is, it downloads those new files, takes the current files off the FileMaker server, and migrates the data to the new files, posts the new files. Then there's another bit, some other sort of cleanup stuff, and that all happens while everyone sleeps. And if there are any errors in that process, it's all sort of boarded, and the old files are put back online. So that's the ultimate of where you can get to. Same for installations of the FileMaker Pro. You want to automate that as well. Ask the question. Will you allow customers to customize your solution? Will you let them create new fields, new layouts, new reports? Will you give them a whole stack of spare fields and a reporting file that they can modify? If you allow customizations, that obviously makes your job easier upgrading to a new version. Machado. And you'd have to do that manually, essentially. I think it was Shakespeare that said, your greatest strength can also be your greatest weakness. We were keen on customization to a completer. That was our unique selling proposition. No one else had allowed what we did. And that generated a lot of business for us. But it made upgrading. And we didn't have the data migration tool back then. So we used a lot of manual upgrades. And this is back in the early 2000s. How are you going to handle hosting? Are you going to do hosting for everyone? Or what if a client can only host on-premise? How are you going to support that? How are you going to handle support? Of course, you're going to be getting questions. Pretty quickly via phone or email or whatever. And what's your plan for training and onboarding? We spend a lot of time onboarding clients, making sure they got up and running, holding their hands, getting them started. And we didn't just sell it and off we went. We spent weeks and weeks and weeks. Getting them up and running. Same for payments. Obviously, you want to automate. You want to automate as much of these processes as possible. And back to that question that I, posted my client when he started seeing $signs is, if someone's server goes down on the weekend, who gets notified? Is there someone they can ring? And are they going to be on call to fix it? And finally, Do you have a policy about will customers ever get full access? Probably not. Oh, in my experience. Okay, just sort of wrapping up this bit. Just a reminder, when you're selling a vertical or horizontal solution, you're selling your solution and how it solves your customers' problems, whether that's automating workflows, eliminating double data entry, and so on. You're not selling FileMaker. It can sound counterintuitive, but a complete data in all my verticals. We never mentioned FileMaker unless we're talking to the IT folks and they wanted some specific details. But our customers didn't know about FileMaker and didn't particularly care. They'll see the FileMaker Pro logo every time they launched it. But to us, they'll use it and buy incomplete data. FileMaker just happened to be the platform it was built on. So don't get hung up trying to sell the benefits of FileMaker. In my experience, the customers will not care. Okay, and following up from that, if you're going to be selling a vertical solution, you want to be looking at the Solution Bundled Agreement Program, SBA. It's the cheapest way to license FileMaker that I'm aware of. And it's designed for Claris partners who want to distribute a solution, essentially, and that lets you bundle your FileMaker licenses with your solution. Customers pay one price. There's minimum order requirements that you have to, get to be a part of this. So you've got to be a Claris partner. And you can't unbundle those FileMaker licenses. You've got to sell them. So yeah, if we sold a 10 years of version and complete data, we would buy 10 FileMaker Pro licenses from the RSBA agreement and 1 FileMaker server license. So yeah, talk to David or the Claris staff here if you want to get more information about the SBA program. But it's definitely the way to go if you're getting into products. And I spoke to a couple of partner managers before I left, just to get some ideas around what SBA solutions are out there and what industries people signify make solutions. And it's a complete, wide variety. So we've got, solutions for picture framers, lots of edu in education, lots in health, solutions for chiropractors, dentists, physios, as some I've seen, a couple of solutions I've seen for people who run music classes, car dealerships, construction, design creative has always been a very popular one for, FileMaker solutions that I've seen. I've seen one for tourism. And in my hometown, there's one for carpet installers. So, sky's the limit. There's no rules about what industries work. So, wrapping up, what did I learn from my complete data days? Well, I learned that, being in the product business can be very profitable, and it creates a sellable asset. After about 7 years of being at complete data and working on the one solution, I got it to version 5 or 6 or wherever it was. And I was ready to work on something that wasn't a real estate solution. So I was able to, exit the business. I could sell my, half of the business to my partner, Lee. So I was able to, as well as I became an employee, and I was, as a shareholder, I was getting dividends. But I was also able to sell my share of the business as well. So, that's one of the big benefits of creating an asset like that. It taught me about the concept of selling value, not hours, building in something once instead of multiple times, sort of getting that economy as a scale and leverage. Partnering with an industry authority figure really helps. These days, we'd call them an influencer. But if I built complete data and tried to sell it, I reckon I would have sold 2 copies if I was lucky. I know I really would have bought a solution from me. I didn't know anything about real estate or the real estate industry. But partnering with Lee, our sales funnel meant that if Lee told them to buy complete data, many people essentially would. As I mentioned, getting customers to sell their prospects is the most powerful form of selling, whether that's through testimonials or getting them along to events. We'd often let pros. We'd often get, existing customers. They would take calls from prospects who wanted to talk to someone who already used the software just to ask some questions and get sort of the real answers and that they would be happy with. You're not selling FileMakers, so don't spend too much effort on that. And as I mentioned earlier, sales marketing is just as important as the quality of the solution. I've seen some beautiful design, beautifully built solutions, best FileMaker practices that have sold, very small numbers, and I've seen some solutions that have sold hundreds and thousands of copies that look extremely ugly. So there's no correlation necessarily between, the look and feel of the solution and how well it's going to go. It all comes down to the styles of marketing. Make sure you've got a plan for upgrades. Don't get caught and slung by that. And protect your intellectual property. So, things like trademarks, that really helps, particularly if you're going to be selling the whole of the business. A buyer would obviously want some, comfort that you've got the intellectual short, the solution protected. it's IP protected. And then, in Australia, if I'm applying for a government grant to do some research, development, or whatever, they often require it to be, have the IP as well. Okay, so moving on to sort of the next phase of my sort of current career, which is what I'm doing at the moment. And as I showed you earlier, database sells a number of solutions to the FileMaker market, so to FileMaker customers and developers. So how do we define the FileMaker market? Well, for us, currently, it's anyone using FileMaker, whether they're a customer or developer using FileMaker 16 or later. That's the oldest version that we all support. We're Australian, so we speak Australian or English. We could add multi-language support to our solutions, just haven't quite got around to it. But that doesn't stop people who barely speak English in Germany and the Netherlands and all sorts of countries buying our solutions and quickly going into late mode and changing the field labels to so it hasn't been a hindrance. I had this advertisement, but we all heard, I'd say Brad, we all heard Ryan, say that Clarice has now got some customers. I was on a webinar last week with 60,000, so it seems to be growing pretty quickly. And that translates to about 1.5 million individual users. And as Brad mentioned, there's a whole bigger pool of that. People who are on old perpetual licenses and older versions. These are just ones that are on active licenses or with maintenance. So that's the Clarice market. If you're targeting partners, there's 14,000 partners worldwide, and that's been pretty constant. Over the last, number of years. So, in terms of data bars, yeah, we have got about 9 solutions at the moment. But 2 of those, the MRB1S, are targeted. Only work in the ANSmaker, because that's where those solutions work. But the rest of them, work worldwide. Anyone, as I said, we've got more customers outside of Australia than inside of Australia. So it's great having solutions that your customer base is basically anyone who uses FileMaker, anywhere in the world. And I'm going to talk about how a couple of these got started. And the first one is, FMSMS, and that's our oldest, solution. And I've been selling that in various forms for over 20 years. And, this all started back in my, complete data days. So around about 2002, I was doing an installation with a complete data customer. It was a Friday afternoon. I was just at his desk installing FileMaker Pro, having a chat, and he was just about to spend the next 2 or 3 hours on the phone, calling my boss, saying, "Hey, we've got all these properties open for inspection on the weekend." That's how it works in Australia. You open your houses on the weekend, and people sort of go from property to property and have a quick look every 45 minutes. And he said, oh God, he wasn't looking forward to it because he really hated it. And half the people you called, wouldn't answer, and you'd play telephone tag, and you'd be leaving voicemails and driving crazy. And he just said in passing, is there a way I can just send them all an SMS? I've got their mobile numbers. I just want to let them know about these properties. I don't need to talk to them. I just want to let them know that these properties are open at these times. Hope you can come along. And, I'm always up for a challenge, and integrations is my sort of passion. And so that piqued my interest. So I went away and did a bit of research, and, found this Australian company that is what's called an SMS gateway, where you can send them these messages and numbers, and they'll deliver them to whichever carrier that person's number is with. The only problem was, this is the FileMaker 5, 56 days, so we didn't have the insert from URL scripts to step all the call options that we have to that day. So to go and pay someone to, write a file, make a plugin to give us the ability to make API requests, which we're more than happy to do, because our solution used about 7 plugins. So another plugin, no big deal. And that was one of my things back then. I speak to a lot of people, and they're very anti-plugins. Like, we use 6, 7, or 8 plugins. Let's just do things that FileMaker just couldn't do it. And I wasn't going to wait 20 years for FileMaker to give us that functionality. So don't be afraid to use other things like add-ons and plugins. So I got all that work in, and then we sold that as an add-on to Complete Data for like $1,200. So that was a nice little way to make money. And we rolled it into our master version eventually. So everyone got it. But that's we were the first company to do that. And that sort of made us stand out. And that transformed our product. That suddenly, gave salespeople, hours and hours of their time back. They could send a bulk SMS to 500 buyers in like 5 minutes. And that's 3 hours of their time that they would previously have to spend calling. So I don't have complete data. And I had it in the back of my mind that it's not just real estate agents that could benefit from SMS integration. There's also people who run appointment-based businesses like doctors and dentists and hairdressers. You all need to send appointment reminders. Because we know that if you, send an appointment reminder, you've got a 90%, 97% chance of that person showing up. If you don't send an appointment reminder, it drops down to about 60%. So that was my first product. I built, FM SMS, and I've known that lots of people could probably use it all around the world. And this is about the FileMaker 10, 11 days. And now it's up to, version 4, and it's probably getting to the close of its end of its life. But it's like my first child. It's my favorite solution. And now I've got it. Now it's spawned as a sister product for MMS messaging. And now you can send WhatsApp messages and all sorts of cool things as well. And you can do two-way messaging. And I was thinking the other day when I was, putting these slides together, that it's when you build something in your little office in Sydney, Australia, you have no idea how people are going to use that around the world. And I was reminded of that, back in 2020, when former CEO, Brad Freitag, gave the Claris Engage keynote. There was one of those COVID ones that was all online. And he talked about a doctor in the US, Dr. Brian Fine. And he'd come up with an idea of doctoring by text message. And I spent a lot of time that all started with Dr. Fine. He basically just bought FM SMS. I never heard from him again. But things obviously ramped up in COVID. And he was doing a lot of this. And I spent a lot of time helping him. And we had to quickly get the ability to, let people send, and a photo that might have a wound or something. They need to take a photo and send it to them. So we got that up and running. But that was something I never would have imagined when I built FM SMS and sort of released it to the world. You never know, what sort of use cases people are going to use it for. I remember I used to exhibit at most of the FileMaker dev cons, and someone came up to me and said, we use your solution to send in alerts to parents at our school when we have a shooter alert. And I thought, well, that's definitely something I never thought, that my solution would ever be used for. But here we are. Next solution I want to talk about is our FM account link solution for Xero. So Xero, for those who aren't familiar with it, is a cloud accounting platform for small businesses. So a nice overlap with FileMaker. FileMaker, by and large, is targeted at small businesses. So Xero started in New Zealand. Its main markets are in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, North America, getting bigger in Asia, like Singapore and South Africa as well. And FM SMS was originally sold. I originally created solver needs to one customer, and then I made it available to, anyone. FM accounting was actually built to solve a problem in database. We were using another, accounting platform that only ran on Windows, and I really hated it, because we were doing lots of double data entry. I had to get a bookkeeper into, and we were sending CTDs around. It was just ridiculous. I really wanted to get rid of it. And then I turned it out to Xero. This is about 2013. And I knew they had an API. And I thought, right, I'm on board. I'm an API guy. So I quickly built a way for us to, be able to click a button and push our invoices from our FileMaker serum that ran our business, like most of you, to Xero. And I built it. And I had it in the back of my mind, thinking, well, I'm probably not the only one that uses FileMaker in Xero and is having these sorts of, workplace automation issues. So I quickly made it a product. And I'd had a bit of feedback from people I knew that, this sounds good. And it quickly became our most popular products. And now it's used every day by hundreds of customers around the world, pushing invoices, credit notes, bills, purchase orders, all sorts of weird things on it. Once again, I never would have, envisaged. But for me it was the idea of, if I'm solving a solution for my business that involves automating workflows or something along those lines, and it's a platform like Xero, well, there's a good chance that I'm not the only one, and there's going to be other people out there, and that's something I sort of look for now when I'm thinking of ways to come up with new products. And the last solution is our FM e-commerce link for WooCommerce. And this WooCommerce is an e-commerce platform built on the WordPress platform. It's a plugin for WordPress. WordPress powers 39–40% of the internet these days. And I've been using WordPress for years, obviously to sell my FMS solution originally. And back in those days, we were using that external SQL source feature FileMaker, where you can view MySQL databases within FileMaker. And I could just view my online orders, and it was great. I could suck the data down with a little simple FileMaker script that was working great for years. And so one day it just stopped working. And I thought that's really weird, and I spent half a day just doing all sorts of debugging and troubleshooting. And got on the phone to my hosting provider and said, "Hey, it's not working." And they said, "Yes, we know." Oh, they'd unilaterally decided to block remote SQL access for security reasons. And nothing I could do was going to convince them. I was prepared to throw lots of money at them. Oh, but they said no. So, quickly I needed a solution, because I didn't want to go back to sort of manual double data entry, and I wanted everything to be automated, and I was using, once again being an API guy, I found that API so quickly came up with a solution. And once again, back in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I can't be the only one using FileMaker and WooCommerce has been a global product. It turns out, I wasn't. I've got customers, and this has almost become our most popular product as well, because WooCommerce is just used all around the world. It's a great product for people who want to manage their own solution and e-commerce site, and they want to. Shopify's its main sort of alternative. If you're not using Shopify, there's a good chance you're using, WooCommerce. So I quickly solved my, company's problems, put it out as a product, and straight away people were buying it. And then I started getting people saying, "Oh, I love what you've got for WooCommerce. But can you build one for Shopify? Or can you build one for Magento?" and so on. So that's how those other ones, came to life. So just, wrapping this up. What have I learned? What am I still learning? Well, keep an eye out for patterns. As I've mentioned, if you're solving a solution for one customer in your business, good chance other people are going to be interested in that same solution. Once again, it can be very profitable. You've obviously got the upfront development cost. You're taking a risk that no one's going to buy it. I've put out a couple of solutions that haven't been very successful. But that's why I sort of didn't understand the market, and where your customers are is important here. But if it is successful, then you get to, leverage the build it once, sell it multiple times model, which is great. And it can lead to other work integrations. We sell solutions to all sorts of people who might not have a FileMaker developer and don't want to get one, and they need someone to do the integration because they can't do it in-house. Well, often they'll ask us to do it. So that gives us a nice little small project that we can do pretty easily because it's our solution. As I've said before, getting customers to sell your prospects is extremely powerful. Just read it, run it down your throat, sell it to the market, just as important as the quality of your solution. And if you can get to that holy grail of subscriptions and maintenance, then you've got that nice, steady, predictable, cash flow. If you are selling a solution, listed on the Clarice marketplace, it's taken a few years, but now I'm starting to see a lot more leads coming to our website and new customers from the Clarice marketplace. It took a while. 2 years ago, there were none. Now I'm seeing quite a few. So looks like, to me, it's become a good way for Clarice FileMaker users to find solutions for whatever they're needing. And get into the, habit of automating your business processes. Particularly around, new releases. So, I'll give you an example of, what I'm talking about. We've got 9 products. We put out trial versions for each of those 9 products, and we put out the production version of each of those 9 products. So, every time we release an update to one of those, there's a lot of steps you've got to do. So, I'll just run you through one of them. So, if we put out a trial version for our Shopify solution, great. We've got to copy that file to a new folder. We've got to open it in FileMaker Pro. We've got to run a script to clear all our test data and instantiate those sort of default settings. We set the default login in the file option, so it will just open automatically. Then we've got to close the file. Then we've got to open up the FileMaker Pro Advanced Developer Utilities. Open our little settings file. Click the Create button that creates a copy of that file with the admin access removed. This is the trial version. We don't want people to hack it. We then zip all that up, and we upload that to our website via FTP. And originally I was doing all this manually, and I was making all sorts of mistakes, but once I uploaded an unlocked, version to the trial version, and so, some people got a nice free version. Lucky them. But yeah, I'm doing this for 9 products, and I'm repeating this for the production version. So, I now just have scripted this with AppleScript. So I open up an AppleScript, click play, don't touch my computer for 60 seconds, and it does all that, and if there's any errors, it will abort. But it's extremely reliable now, and I'll never go back to, doing it manually. So, thank you very much for your time.